welcome back here on We Mean Business. The brutal gang rape and subsequent death of a 23-year-old medical student last month has led to several debates on what needs to be done to make India safer for women. On the show today, we discuss if corporate India can do its bit and also the impact that the terrible incident has had on the psyche of working women. Let me introduce our guests on the show today. Meera Sanyal, Country Executive India at the Royal Bank of Scotland, joins us from Mumbai. Raj Dutta, ED of Quattro BPO, joins us on a link. And with me here in the Delhi studio, Aparajita Gogoi, Executive Director of the Centre for Development and Population Activities. Let me start by going across to Mrs. Meera Sanyal to get a sense of how badly the incident has impacted the confidence, the psyche of working women in India.
So Shweta, I think it has had a very significant impact on not just working women, but women across our country, and for that matter, men as well. And as someone just said to me, you know, change is not a process which comes naturally to all of us, but certain incidents can spark that process of change. And I think this particular incident has come not a moment too late, and we can do something about it. But I think the solutions lie in the hands of three constituents. There are things that the government can do, there are things that the judiciary can and should do, and there are things that we need to do as citizens. And in that role as citizens, I think corporate India also has a role to play.
So what is it that corporate India can do, Mrs. Sanyal? You're right, corporate India is an important stakeholder, and which is why we need everybody to be part of the change. So what, according to you, is it that corporate India can do to ensure that it also is part of that change, it can do its bit to make India a safer place for women?
I think, Shweta, the first thing is that we have to challenge certain misconceptions that people have. You know, I've been watching a lot of TV programs and been watching what some very eminent people have to say, eminent politicians, eminent, you know, people from other, you know, walks of life, who tend to prescribe that women should be home by a certain hour, they should be working in certain places, they should be wearing certain clothes. And I think as a start, we should say that women have the right to wear what they like and work the hours they wish, and that is something which is perfectly acceptable. And I think for our men and for our young women as well, having a corporate career is something which is absolutely acceptable, it is desirable, and they are entitled to have a safe environment, not just in the offices where they are working, but also on their commute home. And I think we have to, you know, really address this right up front and say it is perfectly desirable and acceptable for women to do this.
All right, let me actually quote from a survey. It was a random survey that was done by industry chamber ASSOCHAM, where they actually said that the ITES and BPO companies have recorded a considerable downturn in work productivity after the incident, as 1 in 3 female workers have either reduced their working hours after sunset or they've even quit their jobs after that terrible incident. Let me go across to Mr. Raj Dutta to get a sense of whether that is actually happening. Mr. Dutta, as someone who's part of a BPO, who's really a senior executive there as the ED, do you feel that these concerns have been raised by employees, by women employees after that terrible incident? And what is it that companies are doing to reassure them of their safety?
Okay, referring to the ASSOCHAM study, that's not an effect we have seen in Quattro, and that could also largely because of the fact that security, especially security for the lady colleagues, we have been following this as a process for many years now. Let me not just deal about Quattro, let me talk about BPO industry in large per se. There have been a couple of incidents which have happened in other parts of India, Pune, Bangalore, very unfortunate incidents. But over the years, the industry has learned how to improve its security on its own, and then how to work with the government to ensure that security, especially ladies, is implemented across the board as a part of a process and not as a part of a knee-jerk reaction. So what you see today as recommendations which are coming out from the government or from the police authorities in terms of the security for colleagues here, whether it is night drop, night pickup, in a way, who should be dropped first, who should be dropped last, what kind of security is to be provided. This is stuff that we have worked over the last 10, 12 years with the government. And in fact, for the recommendations that are there in operation today at Delhi, at Gurgaon, even at Mumbai, this team has actually worked with the government, with the police authorities in different places to come up with the recommendations. So when this incident happened, there have been certain reactions, there have been fear from a section of employees, mostly lady employees, about what happens if this is the state of security. But as they themselves reviewed the kind of security measures that are followed here as a part of a process, they realized that as long as these are followed, there would be a certain level of minimal security which is there, which, subject to unfortunate incidents, that security does take care of some of the basic concerns that have been expressed for safety, especially women. I'll give you a few examples here. So we have in the last about 10 years set up certain processes, things which are today taken for granted. No lady colleague to be picked up first from home, no lady colleague to be dropped last at home, and if they have to be done that way by routing, then there has to be a security guard. All drivers, all security guards have to be background checked and monitored. They have to go through refresher training every month. The vehicles will be fitted with GPS, and if there is an emergency, there is a panic button in the GPS which can be pressed, and at least 4 agencies will get to know in a moment that there is an emergency with a vehicle, and the vehicle can be tracked right from where the emergency has happened to which way it's going. Any vehicle that goes out of its prescribed route, there will be a signal coming up to the monitoring station to say this is not going the right way, so figure out what the hell is going on. So there are measures which the industry has taken. These measures are essentials. These are not favors. These are not anything which is special. But in order to run a business which is 24/7, these measures will have to be taken by the industry and the cost borne by the industry. But that's the way we have to do business here. It's a given, the situation, the security situation in Delhi, in Gurgaon, or for that matter anywhere else in the country, it's a given. We have to play with the cards that we have been dealt with, and the industry is gearing up to make sure that we are actually meeting the requirements of our employees, and whichever way, whether it's the cost, whether it's a process, it's being played. Now, just coming back to the point which Meera made, and I entirely agree with what she said, there's recommendations which are coming from people who kind of know it all about which way women should be, what are the what hours women should go out. At a point of time when you look at it from our industry's perspective, we say, oh my God, where the hell are we going in our thinking? In BPO industry, it's 24/7. That's the nature of the industry. 50% of the working population is women. Okay, a little less, but almost half. And how can we say that women will not come out and work at night or go back home? How can we even recommend that we go back to the medieval ages? So instead of gearing up our act and making sure the best practices, which in a way have been imbibed by the industry by now, it's followed across the board, we are kind of in certain stages saying, no, let's go back to a time when we are forcing women to stay at home. More than anything else, as an industry leader, I see, oh my God, what happens to half of my colleagues? What will they do from tomorrow? So we have to look forward, making sure we provide what is required by our colleagues as a matter of safety and security norm, and make sure it's there implemented as a process, and not take any retrograde steps which makes the issue bigger than what it actually is.
India's #1 news app just got even better. Download NDTV's new app. Fully optimized for retina display. Full screen view. Faster response time. And Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.